Hello, 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 hello. Good morning and welcome. My name is Lee Cara. Oh, my cat got all excited. My name is Lee Cara. This is Unleash Your Light. Welcome. It is Thursday morning. I think it's April 5th. I'm not 100% sure. I don't pay much attention to the number days anymore. I do know that my teenager is on spring break. He's right upstairs sleeping. So I might be talking a little bit quieter today. But then again, he sleeps kind of like a rock. So, well, Unleash Your Light. Good morning, Beth. Unleash Your Light is all about getting over those emotional obstacles that keep you from connecting with that divinity that's already inside of you, okay? So we have a great show today. Oh, yours is home on spring break too. Sometimes, I love spring break because that means I get to sleep later than 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. Oh, look, we have my co-host Q here behind me. I'm going to take just a moment to make sure. Oh my gosh, my cat is so wound up this morning. To make sure that I'm live and to share the show with some of my friends. I hope that you'll share the show with some of your friends as well. Let's see here now. That looks like me. I think I'm live. This is going to be a great show today. We are going to talk about releasing your past. We've been talking for the last 2 weeks about forgiving yourself and forgiving other people, which is all, you have to do that. But this really goes hand in hand with that, because even if you forgive someone, if you still carry that around with you, what was the point of forgiving them? Do you know what I'm saying? If you're still carrying around all the stuff you went through, if you're still telling that same story over and over and over again, it's like you're living inside the movie of your past. You know what I mean? I use a lot of movie references. Good morning, Alicia. So nice to see you. I use a lot of movie references because to me, this thing that we're doing here, it's all kind of in our minds, right? It's all an experience that we're having for us, right? So if we're having this experience for us, right, and it's all here so we can learn, it's all here so that we can go through it, then we need to be doing everything we can to make it the best, like funnest romp through like adventures that we can, right? But if we are holding on to this really sad story from our past of heartache and abuse and pain and suffering, good morning, Denise. If we're holding on to that, what kind of a movie are we living in? Right? What kind of a story have we written for ourselves that we continue to live in, even if we've forgiven those people? Right? Like I said, that's what we were talking about for the last 2 weeks. So if you missed the shows from 2 weeks ago, definitely go back in the stream here on the Akashic Academy. I'm on Thursdays, so you can kind of scroll through and see. Good morning, Teresa. You can scroll through and see what Thursday shows are. You can also go to my, I have a group called Unleash Your Light and a page called Unleash Your Light. Are you sensing a pattern here? And you can always find my shows there. You can just message me directly. That's me, Lee Cara. I think I'm the only one on Facebook named that even. So you can go to me directly and I can send you a link to the shows about forgiving yourself. If you are still, even though you went back and you think that you forgave people, if you're still holding on to that sad story or that suffering story, what was the point? What was the point? We want to live joyfully, right? We want to live, be in the moment, and we want to have this experience, right, of feeling that connection with divinity. And how does divinity and suffering exist in the same space? If you are here, then you know that you are divine. If you are here, then you know that you house a divine being who is screaming inside of you to get out, who wants your highest good, who wants you to experience your purpose here, who wants you to walk a path where you are feeling joy and peace and connection with the universe, right? So if that is all true, then how can that possibly exist in the same space as a universe that would ever want you to live in a story of pain and suffering and sadness? Hi, Sharon, welcome. It can't exist in the same space, right? This is why it is so vital to figure out how to let go of those things once you've forgiven them. Once you've said, okay, I get it. They're an expression of me and I went through this and I have empathy and they also have divine beings, right? Inside of them. And they were expressing their pain when they hurt me because they don't know how to process. Like I said, I did whole shows on this and it is a tough thing to do to forgive other people, especially when sometimes we might think they don't deserve it. And especially sometimes when they don't think they did anything wrong, right? That's a hard one. And it's hard to forgive ourselves. That was last week's show. It's hard to forgive ourselves. But of course, as soon as we are sorry, we are automatically forgiven, right? As soon as we are sorry, we are forgiven. Because we're not meant to carry punishment. We're not meant to carry punishment within ourselves. Good morning, Danielle. So this is where we've come to, okay? You've done the hard work, right? Hopefully, or you're working on it. You've forgiven others in your life. You're forgiving yourself. You're working on that on a day-to-day basis, on doing it in the moment. And now is the point where you're looking back on these things that have happened to you. And you're looking back at these stories and you're saying, okay, I understand what happened. I understand that they were in their moment. I understand that they didn't get it. I understand and I have empathy for that. Now, what do I do with this sad story? How do I let go of this? Because it haunts me. And every time that something reminds me a certain smell of a dinner where I got smacked upside the head, a certain song that reminds me of my heart that was broken by this person, a certain, a thing on television, a person who speaks to me the wrong way. All of these things, I call them vines. Okay? Every time that something in your life happens that creates a reaction, that creates a strong reaction in your life, something that makes you go like either in anger or in sadness or in jealousy or in pain, you need to make a note, okay? You need to make a note and step back. Try not to react in the moment. That's going to be next week's show. That's like a little secret aside in the steps is ignoring your feelings, which sounds counterintuitive, but let me tell you, it is really important. So you're going to make a note. And the people who watch me all the time have heard me say this a lot. You have to be like Scooby and the gang. You have to be like detectives and you make a note. And then later you think about it. Why did what this person say make me feel so strongly? Did it really necessitate me reacting on a 10 or was it really like a 3? So what did it remind me of? And you follow it backwards. And when was the last time I felt that way? Good morning, Mary. And you follow it backwards. And you keep following that vine of emotion backwards. Thank you, Danielle. You keep following that vine of emotion backwards. Hi, Ryan. And as you follow the vines of these emotional things that happen in your life, they call them triggers now. They didn't call them triggers when I was growing up, but as you follow these vines of these emotional reactions that you have in your regular day-to-day life that you wouldn't think were related to anything, it's just somebody pissed you off, made you mad, right? But you went to 10 and really it probably was like a 3. And you follow it back to the last time that somebody disrespected you. And you follow it back and you follow it back and you follow it back, right? And you think back to when was the first time that I felt so disrespected? when you follow those vines backwards, when you get them all the way back to where they grow out of the ground, right? That's where you find the roots. Hi, Marla. That's where you find the roots of what's going on. When you can find the root of what's going on, you can pull it out. See, because here's what's happening. If you just fix the fact that you're not going to react to someone who disrespects you, I don't have time to react to that, and you just stop. That's like cutting a plant off at the surface, right? If you come along with your little snippers and you chop a plant off at the surface, what happens? That plant grows right back. So then the next time that somebody disrespects you, you're still going to have that same reaction, and you still might be able to kind of clamp down on it, but it doesn't change the churning inside of you, and it doesn't take away the block that's inside of you, the obstacle. You really have to get down into the root of where it's coming from, because these things, these vines that grow up from these roots, it won't be one vine. It'll be 20 vines that come from one root of something that happened to you in your past that needs to be forgiven. Because these things are like insidious, and one tiny incident can grow out into hundreds of vines in your life that you won't even realize came from. So we're going to follow this one route down, just to kind of give you an example. We follow this one route where someone disrespected you at work and you snap off. Hi, Christy. You react, okay? And you're at a 10, it should have been a 3, and you're thinking back and you're thinking back and you're doing your Scooby-Doo work, and you and Shaggy and Velma and Fred and Daphne are following this clue, right? So you're all the way back and you think back and you think back and you think back, okay? So now you're at your dinner table, right? And maybe you're 10 years old, 11 years old, and you are sitting at your dinner table and it's Thanksgiving and you have opinions. I have opinions. I'm 10 years old. Hi, Sherry Lynn. I'm 10 years old and I have opinions now. And maybe I am a feminist, or I have an opinion about politics now, or maybe I have an opinion about what's going on in my family. And so you're sitting at the dinner table with the grown-ups and you're feeling like you're extra special. And somebody says something and you state your opinion. And Uncle Dave, I always use Uncle Dave. I don't even have an Uncle Dave. So no offense to any Uncle Daves out there. Uncle Dave tells you to shut your mouth because you're just a kid and nobody wants to hear what you have to say. You're not even smart enough to drive a car yet. Nobody cares what you have to say, kid. And nobody stands up for you. And nobody says anything about let the kid speak. They laugh. They all laugh at you. And you keep your mouth shut. And now that creates a root. That creates a root. That one thing creates a root. Because what Uncle Dave said, you have now internalized, okay? So now you take that and you create your own story around it, all right? So you're stewing over it, little 10-year-old you, and you're going, nobody's going to talk to me that way. And maybe you don't even know the word disrespect yet, but you do know, I don't want anyone telling me what I can say and what I can't say. Hi, Teresa. Nobody's going to tell me how to speak, and nobody's going to tell me I can't share my opinion, and nobody's going to talk to me in that tone, in that way, right? Now you're 10, and you might not even remember this, but what you've created is a story around this incident, around this root. And now this root will grow vines outwards into your life. So now these vines will be in every single situation in your life, because every time that somebody speaks to you in that particular tone, with those particular words, with that particular intention to quiet your opinion, that comes out. That comes out. And here is a person in your life that you may not have even thought about having to forgive all that, because now you're a grown up and you know Uncle Dave is just a crazy old guy, and you're like, oh, it's just Uncle Dave. Nobody listens to him. They just laugh at him. It's no big deal, because nobody takes him seriously. But when you were a 10-year-old kid, you took Uncle Dave very seriously. And he made a very lasting impact on you, and you don't even know it. This is why it's so important. This is why it's so important to figure out, to follow these vines all the way back, to dig out that root, right? Pay attention to the things that happen, to the things that give you a strong reaction in your life, and then follow the vines back as far as you can to where that root was formed, where that seed was planted. Because when you find that seed, then you can go, holy guacamole, this has fingers, it has vines in every portion of my life. In my relationships, in my work, at the grocery store, as a driver, somebody cuts you off and you have road rage. It's disrespectful. Okay, so now we found the root. How the heck do you dig it out? Right? How the heck do you dig it out? And people have a lot of different methods to do this. And I'm just giving you my particular method that they gave to me. Like, all the stuff that I say to you is not, I'm not this smart, y'all. This is like what they gave to me. This is what they tell me to say to you. And this is what, like, the message that comes through to me is about releasing all this stuff, because we are not meant to carry this. This is not our burden as humans to carry, is all this pain and all this story and all of this suffering from our past. Okay. We have the most amazing thing right here, our brains connected to this collective, connected to this divine energy, is the most amazing gift that we could possibly have. And it is the gift of co-creation, right? And the gift of imagination and the gift of visualization, right? And you already know, if you're here, how powerful that is when you're doing your meditations, when you're doing all of these different things that you use to express your spirituality, right? So we're going to, hello, Alron. We're going to use that to tap into, to release our past. Okay. So now we've traced those vines back. You found that root, and maybe you don't have to go very far back. Maybe you know exactly where your root is. Maybe you know exactly what story you need to let go of. Maybe you know exactly what sad movie you are living in and retelling and retelling and retelling. Thank you, Sharon. Maybe you know exactly what that story is, okay? So I want you to go back to that story. And I'm still going to use Dave at the dinner table. I know it sounds like a simple one. Maybe your story is really deep and sad, and this is something that you need to do privately in your own moments when you can bawl your eyes out or scream or do whatever you need to do to release, okay? Because you might have to do it 100 times. You might only need to do it once. It depends on how powerfully your visualization, your connection, and your intent is. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. We go back to that dinner table as us now, knowing all the things that we know about forgiveness, knowing all the things that we know about empathy, about connection, about the light, right? About the collective. All of these things we understand about compassion. And we watch the scene again, right? And we look at Uncle Dave and we say to Uncle Dave, I feel so bad that you live in this. Thank you, Nancy. I feel so bad for you that you live in this space of anger all the time and sadness all the time. Obviously, if you feel the need to lash out this much, you must feel so disrespected all the time. You must feel so much pain all the time and anger. And you probably don't even know why you feel so bad all the time. I forgive you, Uncle Dave. I know you don't understand it. I get it. I get that you don't understand that. And you go to your Uncle Dave and you give him a big hug and you tell him, I forgive you, Uncle Dave. I forgive you. You didn't mean what you said to me in that way. You thought you were being funny. You thought I was just a kid. You don't understand that what you said hurt me that way. And you give him a hug. Then you go to your little 10-year-old self and you sit down with your little 10-year-old self and you say to yourself, I want to hear your opinion. I want to hear what you have to say. I got your back. Uncle Dave didn't understand that he was hurting you, and he didn't mean to say all that bad stuff. And you comfort yourself. Hi, Krista. You comfort yourself the way that somebody should have comforted you that day. And you give yourself a hug, and you listen to all the things that little 10-year-old you wanted to say. And you comfort yourself, and you give yourself a hug, and you give yourself all that empathy and all that love that little 10-year-old you needed to hear so that they wouldn't have created that story of no one's ever going to disrespect me again and get the head waggling and the finger going, right? So that undoes that moment that created that root, okay? Now here's the one that a lot of people don't do. This is like the secret sauce, y'all. Now you're going to turn to your grown-up self that's standing there at this dinner scene. And you're going to say to yourself, I forgive you for holding on to this pain for so many years. I forgive you for believing this garbage that Uncle Dave spewed at us so many years ago. We don't need to believe this anymore. We don't need to hold on to this anymore. This is not our truth. We are beautiful. We are amazing. And what we have to say matters. And if somebody doesn't want to hear it, that's okay. We don't need for them to hear it. We don't need their respect. And then we give ourselves a big hug. You say whatever it is that you need to say to yourself to heal that moment separately from yourself. That's the secret ingredient, because a lot of people will tell you to go back and heal your inner child and forgive that person. But you really need to forgive yourself for believing, ever believing whatever it was that moment did to you, whatever scar that moment gave you. You are divine. You are so worthy, and you are divine, and you are amazing. And you were never meant to carry the burden that was put on you at that age. Whether it was someone when you were 4 years old telling you to shut up, that will embed in someone's brain, and they will literally for the rest of their lives carry that around and feel like they're not worthy to be heard. You are worthy. You are worthy. And that's why it's so important for you to do this work, for you to dig down into that. And there are people who will say, leave the past in the past, let it go, it's back there. You know what happens if you just leave things back there? Have you ever had a closet where you just keep putting things in the closet? Hi, Rudolph. And you keep shoving stuff all the way to the back of the closet and you just don't look at it, right? And then you shove something else back there and you keep shoving things in that closet or that room in your house that you really don't use, but you bring things home all the time. You go, oh, I'll just put it in the extra room. And you keep shoving things in there. After a while, they start to overflow. It starts to overflow and it starts to spill out. And what happens is it will infect your entire life. Things don't go away just because you're not looking at them. Your pain doesn't go away just because you're not looking at it. Exactly, it bubbles to the surface. And sometimes it doesn't bubble, it erupts. And if you're a person who has eruptions, you have to dig in there. And you have to get the roots out from all of those little vines that are coming up to the surface. It is not an easy thing. It is not an easy thing to dig into your past. And sometimes when you dig into the past, it is very easy to get stuck in the story. I have a friend who I was talking to about this, and she dug into the past and went into fetal position on her bathroom floor and did not come out for 2 hours. I have help for that. Are you ready? I call it primal crying. When you get in one of those moments where you go back to your past and you're reliving it, what you have to do, instead of living in that moment when you're crying so hard, you say, as you're crying, this is healing me. As I'm crying, allow this to heal me. As I'm crying, allow this to release my pain. This is healing me. I am love. I am light. This is healing me. I am releasing my pain through this crying. I am releasing this. Whatever feels right for you to say, when you just cry and you are, why me? Why did this happen to me? This is terrible. Oh my God. And you're balled up in that fetal position. You are gripping your pain like a comforting blanket. You are gripping your pain because it feels so comfortable to you. And there are people who will live in their pain their entire lives because it comforts them. If you find yourself in a moment of primal crying, I want you to do this. And I want you to ask for the healing as you're crying. Help me to release this pain. Help me to heal this pain. I have faith. I know that my pain is being healed right now. I know that my pain is being released right now. Because just by saying that, it is. When you do this with it, the universe allows you to keep it because you're holding it safe, because it's your story. And as long as you hold it close to you, the universe lets you keep that story as long as you want to believe that that's your story. All time happens all the time. All time happens all the time. And as long as you are telling that story to yourself in the same way, it is still happening to you. As long as someone is hurting you in your mind and you are telling that story of pain, they are still hurting you. And this is why it is so important for you to rewrite this story and release it and heal it and forgive it. And it's not easy. And you might have to go back and rewrite this story 100 times. Or it might be powerful enough that you can do it once and really let it go. But it is one of the most powerful things that you can do. And once you do it, it's like disconnecting weights from you. And you're going to feel like you're new. You're going to feel reborn, and you're going to feel that connection because you will have cleaned off that beautiful golden light that shines inside of you. And you're going to hear that connection so much stronger, so much louder. You're like your mission, your destiny, your like downloads, whatever it is, however you get your connection is going to start coming through so clearly. The more that you're able to do this, the more of this yucky stuff from our past, the more of these experiences that we went through that we were supposed to learn from and let go, because that's the point. Learn from it and let it go. Release it into the universe after we've learned from it and loved it and let it go. We're not meant to carry it. We're not meant to carry it. That's why they put stories and myths and legends out there like Jesus. Put your sins on his back. Put the burden on him. Because we're not meant to carry it. And they keep trying to tell us to do that. You know, they have whole days and they have all of these things where they tell us to release your sins, to let go of them, because we're not meant to carry this burden. We are meant to go through it, to learn from it, to forgive ourselves, to forgive the people involved, to love ourselves through it, and to release it. And it's not easy. But I know that you're learning to love yourself unconditionally, right? And that's something that we're going to talk about, is loving yourself unconditionally. And you can do it. And you have a great support system here. See, I'm pushing up on my time. Oh, I am so used to talking for an hour, you guys. I am so used to talking for an hour. I am pushing up on my time right now. I'm going to go on my personal page, Lee Cara, and I'm going to finish talking about this. But you guys have a great support system right here on the Akashic Academy page, and some amazing broadcasters who've popped in here, like Christy Warnick and Andrea Stepanowski and Teresa Warren, Bex Marie, just so many of them, Robin McClendon, and of course, Emily and Coach Nick. And they just do some amazing stuff here on the public page. But let me tell you something, if you get on the secret page, you get some incredible stuff. So if you want to be in on the secret page, you can go to askyourrecords.com. Make sure you let Emily know that Lee sent you over there. And for $11.11 a month, you can get it on the secret page. She's doing this channeling every Wednesday with an amazing message. I never miss a Wednesday at 2:00. Let me tell you, it is powerful. I've never done that kind of thing, but holy guacamole, it is so good. And I never miss it now. You guys can always find me at unleashyourlight.org. And I actually have 2 PDF books there for free. The first one is called Unleash Your Light, and it was from the very beginning of my journey. It has all of these steps in there, and I put supporting quotes. It's a really short book. It's like 30 or 40 pages. I put supporting quotes in there that are from ancient texts like the Bible, that are from Buddha, that are from Martin Luther King, that are from all of these amazing resources that we have that have all gotten the same messages that were downloaded to me in 2012. Before that, I was wandering, lost, had no clue, lived a miserable life. I mean, I lived a normal life on the outside, but a sad, miserable life on the inside, right? Like a lot of us. And I got this amazing message, and it just downloaded an entire book to me. I wrote it in like 3 days. And then they were like, okay, go look up all these quotes. And they told me where to find them. Anyways, I could go on and on. I also have my newest book there, which is called The Simple Spirituality of Self, and it's all about loving yourself unconditionally. Once we get through all the steps of the actual Unleash Your Light, I'm going to start talking about that a lot, because that is absolutely the key to really amping up your connection with the light, with the oneness, with the collective, and it'll help all of your spiritual practices when you're really connected. So that's super exciting. And they're both free. They're both PDF copies, and you don't even have to put in your email address. I mean, I have a little space to do it, but you don't have to do it to get your thing. I don't do anything with the email addresses yet anyway. So, and you can always find me right here on Thursdays at 10 a.m. I get a half an hour here, and then I go over to my personal page, which you can track me down at Lee Cara. I have lots of room for friends. You can friend me. And I broadcast on Tuesdays on Sology, but I always put the information on my group and on my page, Unleash Your Light, which you can also track down on Facebook. I'm super easy to find. I'm so grateful for you guys being here with me on Thursdays at 10 a.m. And I think this is show number 5 or show number 6. And I'm so happy to be here. I'm in great company, you guys. So check out all the other shows. Andrea Stepanowski is going to be on tonight at 7. She does a show about chakras. And it's so much good information in that show. I love you guys, every single one of you. And enjoy your weekend. Love you guys so much. I am so happy to be here. This was a great show.